Hello, everyone. We are live with Josh and Sheila
There we go.
today.
I had to unmute myself.
Always the fun trick. We enjoy muting ourselves. That's
True.
stuff.io. And doing entire podcasts on mute. It's fine.
Yeah, we've only done that twice. So
yep. We'll let everybody pile in here. We're having a fun podcast today of a product launch. And so introducing everyone to Galley Forecast and going to kind of deep dive with Josh, who created this product, and then with some help from engineers and QA guys, have made this a product for the entire book publishing industry as a set and hopefully an entire toolkit that we plan to roll out. But this is the first step of it. And, Josh will explain kind of where it works in the industry, but this is not just a tool for publishers. This is a tool for authors. This is a tool to tell your author friends when they're sitting there going, gosh, I don't know. I wrote a book. I don't know if it's good. I don't know how to market it. I don't know. So all those fun things that this product addresses, including how to start marketing it, where to start putting it out there. So, with that being said, I'll toss this over to Josh Stone, who's our CEO. You might have noticed we switched up the logo. This product is being launched by book.io. So even if you are joining us on a stuff.io social channel today, hello, welcome. But this is going to be a book.io product. So we put up some book.io love. But yes, welcome for anybody who's joining us for the first time. And toss it over to our CEO, Josh, on tell us about Galley Forecast.
Man, you're so good on podcasts. You got the whole thing down. It's awesome. It's all those one newsletters that are training you well, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I even got like the at-home microphone,
Oh, nice, doing it. Yeah, I'm not nearly that legit, but I do have a cat meowing at my door. It's gonna walk in here soon. So Galley Forecast is a new product that we launched from book.io. So in the publishing world, what happens if you write a book? You write your book. You have some version of your manuscript, and generally, you might share that with some friends who may or may not read it because maybe they're not into that book. Maybe they're cool and they do, and they give you some amount of feedback. And then generally what happens, the next step is you load it up into a advanced reader copy platform, which there are a good number of platforms out there. And essentially what you do, you upload your manuscript and then you send it out to people. Hopefully, people that will leave some sort of review or give you some sort of response. Oftentimes this is where, you can capture quotes from people, right? If you can get some influencer or somebody big to respond. And some of those come through, sending a manuscript directly to those people. And of course, there's editing and that kind of stuff that takes place in there between, running this process. But basically what you want to do is, you're sending this thing out to try to find out how it's going to do, right? Maybe your book is great. Maybe your book sucks. Everybody hopes their book is great. That's obviously not the case, right? And then just check for, continuity. Did everything make sense? Were there any gaps? What did you like? What did you not like? And really it's kind of just a total, gamble, right? You don't really know. So what the point of this product is, and this is why we call it Forecast. A galley is essentially a free copy of a book. In the print side, it happens as well. A lot of times they'll do like a short run of books, and they'll pass out a physical book. It's happening a lot digitally now, which are called digital ARCs or digital advanced reader copies, or DRC sometimes referred to. And a lot of times you'll pay for that service, right? You pay to have your advanced reader copy sent out to an audience that you have, a list of emails maybe, or to different influencers or different libraries, periodicals, anything that you think could feasibly give you some good feedback about that book. So the publishing industry kind of operates this way, where every title, I'll give you for instance, like with the big publishers, like the big five, they generally send out every single book that they have as a pre-release, and what they're trying to gauge, how well could this book possibly do, so they can make informed decisions around how much advertising dollars do we put into this, where does this book fit, is this book just not a market fit at all, or does it seem like it's really popping and we should really like put some real resources behind it. And so a lot of times what happens in this process is if you have a book and you want to send it out to some influencers, a lot of these are paid as well, right? So you may pay a couple $1,000s to this influencer, $5,000 to this one, $10,000 to that one, a couple hundred to these groups of these different ones, and it can be a very expensive process, because you're trying to farm out and get that that good data, that good response, get some social buzz going about the book. The ideal version of that, of course, is you get some huge influencer. Maybe you paid them 10 grand, but they go post to their several million person audience and say how great your upcoming book is, and they just read it, right? That's kind of the what you're trying to achieve, the gold standard, right? So before all of that happens, what we sort of realized was a great use of technology would be to take that book, process it, and give some predictive result around what might happen when you go through that process, so you can actually make some informed decisions on maybe the best way even to do the advanced reader side, things that you can do to adjust your book, strategies about how to even take that into the advanced reader side, or just strategies around launching the book marketing wise. And so basically what we built, and actually let's see, we probably ought to share our screen here. Let me pull it up. Okay. Let's see, which screen am I on and which screen can you see now? Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Okay. I have multiple windows up trying to figure out. So Galley Forecast is the site, galleyforecast.com. And basically what we allow you to do is it'll simulate readers, and it forecasts across 7 different social platforms, and it actually has a really fast turnaround time. So why this, kind of goes through different stuff on the marketing for the homepage of, why it matters, all these sorts of things. I'm going to jump kind of ahead and just go into uploading one. But basically you upload the manuscript, it's simulating an audience, you get a forecast back, and then it comes with some strategy around it too, as well as like how to go forward. So I can't remember what all else is on here. Yeah, there's some stuff highlighting what it is. Anyway, let's jump into it. So I need to sign in real quick. Use my personal email. Hopefully everybody doesn't blow me up on that. Let me go get my link here to get in. There we go. Sign in. Okay. So this is a very simple, very clean dashboard, right? And these are other ones that I've run forecasts on previously. So basically what happens, I go in here, I add a manuscript. I go in here, I can click on this, and then let me go find a, let's see, I think I was going to do this Village and Revolt, maybe. Yeah. And then let's upload a cover as well. And I think this one is, so it's pretty simple. I think this was Sean Jeffrey, something like that. You can upload, different versions, so you can track what version of your draft it is. If you have an ISBN, which a lot of times you won't yet because you haven't gone to print, but oftentimes publishers will reserve their ISBNs earlier than having the work ready to go, so you can plug that in there and track it that way. Continue to pricing, and then let me grab my little discount code here. Okay, so we offer three different kind of tiers of what will happen. So on the low end, the concept forecast, it will go through, will read the book. I can't remember exactly how many reads it goes through it. With each tier, it escalates sort of exponentially the amount of reading that happens. So basically what happens is, from an agentic standpoint, what's taking place is it's spinning up a bunch of agents. All of those agents are actually reading the entire book 2 times each. And then they argue out what their thoughts are behind it. They comment on it. All of them are like kind of uniquely identified. They all write reviews and discuss it. And then they come back and it compiles a full report. And then from that data set, then it compiles like a strategy of what you should sort of do next. And we'll just kind of go through the process real quick. But, basically I go in here through Stripe, got a promo code to do that. And then let's see, there's a quick pay with my saved card. It's going to process it and take a second here for Stripe to run my credit card. Take a drink of my iced coffee.
But what's cool about doing this before you send it to ARC readers, right? Like a lot of times you're going to hire a marketing company to get a bunch of ARC readers, or they're going to be fans of yours, right?
Yep.
So putting it into this before you send it out to people who already love you. And yes, you want those reviews, you want those 5-star reviews, you want the great write-ups. Like that obviously is the point of sending out ARCs. But this is basically like hiring 100 different editors and saying, I don't even care if you like this genre. Can you read this book and give me your honest opinion of it, right? Which is obviously really expensive if you're going to hire 100 editors. And a lot of people only stick to, oh, no, I only edit, nature biographies, right? Like, and they won't do it. So this way, with it being technology, they don't have a choice. Like these editors who all have, come from different personalities, will have to read your book and give you their honest opinion. So that's really cool by this, and it is processed very fast, and it does email you when it's ready. But
I mean, it it takes a while because it is going through a pretty extensive, like the process that it goes through is quite rigorous. And but yeah, exactly like you said, if I have an advanced reader copy of something, something I put together and I send to people I know, I'm probably not going to get honest feedback, right? Because they're going to know me and be nice and not want to say, hey, your book sucks and you should stop, thinking you're a writer. Which is why the industry uses a advanced reader copy sort of system where they can send out these books and try to get unbiased feedback about those things, right? So while this one processes, I'll jump into I actually just ran this one a little bit ago, Hot Shots Mistake, which is one of the very first romance books that we did. So you can see it pops up. It tells me the full forecast is ready. A bit about the metadata around it, and then I can go view the report. I can view my receipt too. So did it follow me through that tab? Can you see it okay?
It does, yeah. It shows Hot Shots Mistakes. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So then here I get the report, right? So then I can kind of jump to all these different sections, but basically it gives me my executive summary. So it's predicting that I would get 3 stars out of 5, 72% genre fit, moderate commercial viability, 62% purchase intent. So, and it gets pretty detailed, right? So I'll kind of go through like what it comes back with, because I think there's a lot of value in exactly how it comes back, and you can talk about some authors that have experimented with this too. But for this one, we get women 25 to 40 reading sports romance with emotionally damaged heroines and slow burn hockey heroes, right? And then it kind of gives me like a which this is actually really interesting, is a 38% DNF, which DNF it stands for did not finish, right? So basically what it's predicting is 38% of people won't finish. And then, it gives you some good stuff too, right? It earns tension through chapter 27. Then it collapses under manufactured conflict. it really gets pretty specific about
Mhm.
giving you very detailed feedback, right?
Yeah, it's
Gives me
always down to the chapter. It's like, go to chapter 12. This is where it's very detailed. It's awesome.
Yeah, it gives me like, suggested price point, right? Launch at $3.99, into hockey specific book talk. So then, you can keep going, right? So predicted rating distribution, sort of how it gets rated. And basically what it does, this one was based on 12 simulated readers. So 12 readers read the book 2 times each, to get to this point. So from a critic distribution, it thinks that they almost all score a 3-star. And we'll show a couple of these other ones too that get a little more detailed. But fan distribution, then it thinks that your fans would mostly give it 4 stars. So then these are all 12 simulated readers, and basically what a potential reader would say, and then it gives you a little breakdown too, right? Like, this is a librarian. Here's a book talk reader. Here's an independent bookseller. Here's a series binger. And it gives, sort of what their rating was, why, would they buy book 2, maybe. And it gives you real detailed, right? It's like, okay, so the bones are solid, grumpy displaced hockey player plus small town girl, PT with trauma backstory is certified book talk formula, and I respect it. So it gets down in the, and you can read through all of these reviews. So if this was your actual manuscript, you would very much care about what these potential things would say, right? So then you get into like simulated social posts, where like this is a simulated book talk one about somebody might say about it, right? Okay, so I just finished Hot Shots Mistake and I need to decompress for a second. Millie is a physical therapist for hockey team. Devin, but this book, blah blah blah. So it goes into kind of detail around what you could maybe expect somebody to say, right? Here's a Goodreads one. Somebody gave it 3.5 stars. And it kind of breaks these things down, right? Here's a Reddit one, Amazon, Bookstagram, Storygraph. And then you get kind of a split between those platforms too, around where it thinks you would get the highest engagement from, right? So in this instance, it thinks that Book Talk would be the best spot for this title. And then it gives you like a kind of a write-up too around why that is. This I thought was really cool. It gives an emotional arc analysis. So it basically gives you kind of pros and cons around the actual writing of the book, right? So like chapter 28 was a low point. Millie, spoiler alert, right? If you're gonna go read this, Millie wakes hungover, emotionally shattered, isolated in her childhood home. It gives you some specific stuff to consider when you're writing it too, right? Maybe you might consider, hey, before we want to send this out and spend on paying influencers to read this, maybe we want to think about something here in chapter 24, and maybe we should like do a rewrite to change something, right? And some of these I've seen like were really some very detailed stuff and some of the reports, so it was quite funny, right? And I know you had heard from an author about how they would have kind of rewrote some stuff based on
one of their books that we put in, they were saying like, hey, the main climax actually comes way too early, like, so you need to space this out better, because people kind of got the drama and the point of the book and then had to go another 100 pages to finish it. And she was like, oh yeah, I would have totally rewritten that. She's like, I bet you I have a whole bunch of do not finishes because they just kind of got carried on a useless emotional ride because there was no resolve of it. So she was like, oh, I probably would have rewritten it if I would have known, but that's the beauty of new technology.
Yeah, one of them that I saw, I can't remember whose book it was, but when we ran the report, it said something like in some like later chapter, like some dog died or something. And it was like a lot of readers bounced at this point because they were so upset that the dog died, and it was like not really like a critical thing in the story. But if you knew that, then you're like, oh, well, maybe I don't really need to kill that dog off if I know it's going to like adversely affect people finishing my book, right? So not that you should let the technology tell you what to write, but it's definitely like something to consider, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get audience demographic breakdown, 81% female. This is a romance, so that makes sense. Then it gives you like a breakdown on ages too, right? Which all this information can be extremely helpful when you're building out some social media campaigns, or you're doing any type of ad buys, right? You're gonna heavily target women 25 to 34, and then maybe less on 35 to 44, and maybe third is your 18 to 24. So and then it gives you some sort of a histogram here around some different categories that it fits into, right? STEAM, I think, that's kind of funny. It creates these based on the book, so sports authenticity, pacing, series hook, and then gives you this kind of axis score around like for each one of these things, like how well you're hitting it, and then you can go into like super detail over here too around why that's kind of the analysis for it. And then so we get to strengths and risks. So it gives you some positives like dual first person POV sustains dramatic irony, and then a whole list of those. Same thing with risks, right? Workplace sex scene in chapter 15 creates a professional ethics credibility collapse. I'll read this. Devin and Mila, I don't know this book. Devin and Mila have intercourse on the treatment table before any formal disclosure to Coach Scotch, which doesn't happen until chapter 18. Readers who work in sports medicine or HR will reject the romance. She protected her career, framing as retroactively false. So, it calls out some stuff that's like, this is not realistic, right? Or,
there's a lot
there's some
of
other
stuff in romance that isn't realistic. So that's funny.
True, yeah. I mean, and what's funny is I think the other day you were sharing with me that an author had some like inconsistency in something, and it sort of caught that in here because it's considering all those things, So right. Some of that can be helpful, right? It's like when it brings this stuff up, it's like, oh, okay, like I forgot maybe that narrative or that like sort of mini arc kind of existed, and like maybe we do want to change it or close the loop on something that was left open, those types of things. So then this is really kind of one of the biggest things, right? That did not finish risk analysis, right? So you want to, obviously you want people to finish your book. So it's nice to know if and where people don't finish and why, so you can sort of make an analysis on if there's something you want to change, or if you don't, that's fine too. But so primary did not finish point was between chapter 14 and 17. And if people stuck it out beyond that, then they probably likely quit between chapter 25 and 28. And so kind of interesting, and it talks through all of, that's funny, chapter 32, taco reconciliation. This book sounds interesting.
Gina likes tacos. There's always tacos and
I guess so,
in her
it's
book.
like Devin drinking at the bar while Mila leaves with a rival, followed by porch vigil and drunk confrontation. So it dives very deep. So then you get to purchase intent. So what people would be willing to pay. It gives you kind of a breakdown of all these things, right, that could drive purchases. And then also equally it could be purchasing barriers. So there's all that and just tons of data around it. And then what's really cool is it doesn't just give you kind of the report around, hey, this is the book and this is all the data of what it sort of thinks would happen, but it actually gives you these launch strategy recommendations, right? So, which I think is maybe arguably like probably the most valuable part of this entire report, which is trying to help you even this, right? Because earlier I said $3.99 and then that other one said $4.99. So it's like price the ebook at $3.99 at launch, not $4.99, then step it up at 30 days later, right? So, and then it gives you like, rationale for why that's the case. All of these are like extremely unique per each title. It's not like there's a set thing and it tells you kind of the same thing every time. And then manuscript feedback, right? So here's, structurally, it talks about different, pacing, characters, your voice, and that's kind of, that kind of constitutes the like what a report is, right? So just for example, I'll jump back to, let's see if our other one finished. Okay, so Village and Revolt finished while we were looking at that one. So let's pop it, see what it said. So this one got a 2.8. This one is, men and women. That's interesting. 45 to 70, interested in
That
British
is
labor
interesting.
history,
Yeah.
trade union heritage, and 20th century rural radicalism. So yeah, it's really, it's definitely very unique, right? Every single one of them, it really goes through like a detailed breakdown. Let's go down here and look at some stuff. And let's go look at some more of this analysis. Oh, interesting. Okay, so just to show, like, obviously that other one said, hey, everything should go to Book Talk. This one's kind of the exact opposite, right? It's like, hey, you should be looking at Goodreads and Reddit for where you're going to get your primary engagement for this particular title.
Yeah.
Different emotional arc. 49% females. That's pretty wild that it's almost split 50-50.
Right. Yeah.
And then didn't really score too well on its positioning that it pulled in. Interesting. Okay. 52%. So half the people that read this book won't finish it, and they mostly drop out at chapter 7. That's funny.
That's early.
Yeah. So, basically gives you this type of analysis, obviously, for, any book that you put in. And so this one's, different price, $9.99. Let's see what it said on launch strategy too. It's like, price the hardcover at 22 to 25 pounds. That's funny. I guess I thought it was like a British release, and $9.99 ebook simultaneously. Do not delay the ebook. Yeah, interesting. Here, I'll jump into another one. Let's close that one out. I just run this Myths of Mexico. I think that was one. I like seeing the audience breakdown. So this one's men 30 to 55. Interested in pre-Columbian mythology, right? Comparative religion and academic folklore. And then gives you sort of a breakdown. So critics obviously wouldn't like this book. Fans are kind of meh on it. Let's see what we get down here in some of the.
I love I don't know which level of the report it is, but the ones that give the manuscript feedback, I love that part because it actually goes through and it says like pacing. You got like a 4 out of 5 on pacing, and then it's like,
I think that's at the very bottom, maybe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, this stuff, structure.
That's like, so this is hiring an editor, so it's like,
absolutely, yeah. It's like chapter 7 attempts to do the work of 2 chapters, and it's like it's pretty smart, as far as like what it's telling you about the book. Which obviously anybody who's using AI, I think the difference is any author out there could go throw their book in AI. One, you're not going to be able to put the entire book in there. So then you have to get tricky about how you do that and how you keep like context in a way that makes the most amount of sense. But then for this, it was like we went multiple levels deeper of like how we're stacking up and like how we're telling it to go and look for these particular things. And then it sort of reads the way that it functions, not to give away the whole secret sauce, but like I said, it reads every agent that comes into it. So if we have 100 agents read it, or 1,000 agents read it, or whatever, every agent is reading it twice, and so 2 times they're writing up a review, so that they then individually come to like a consensus about what they think is an agent, and then all of those consensus get put into the sort of master consensus where they argue out what they think about it. So it obviously produces like an incredible depth of feedback that is unlike any you're not going to, even if you send this through a regular ARC system, right, you're not going to get any of this data back at all. You're just going to get back such and such, hopefully you can find that they somebody left you a good review on Book Talk, and you don't even necessarily get notified of that, right? So one thing that we haven't launched yet, but it's kind of the part 2 of this, is like following this data through, right? So as you launch that book, then in like the higher tier of tracking like what the actual reviews are, and then looking at kind of what the delta is of like what the what it said initially, and then what actually like happened in practice. So
I think, just as a marketer, I think that's like really fun, like to compare, or like, okay, here's what my forecast said, here's what real life did, what's the delta of comparison there. I think that would be so fun to track and just check in all the books that you've ever written. It'd be really neat. And this helps you stage it too, right? Like there's certain parts of the forecast that comes back and says like, hey, don't market this book on like what happens in chapter 1, right? Like, everybody thinks that the soccer book of them meeting in a club by chance, and she doesn't know that he's the greatest soccer player in the world and he pays her bill, right? It's like, no, start at chapter 30 and use like this paragraph as your hook for your marketing. Like it's really in depth, helping you out on like the social media and the marketing. So, I mean, that itself is invaluable.
No, and you've had some direct feedback from some authors about that too, which I thought was very interesting, because I think that, a lot of authors don't, which is kind of a historic problem with publishing in general, right? It's like most authors don't want to be on social media. And so publishers, then a lot of them exist and they run a lot of that social for them, because authors want to be writing and not, messing around with social media. So having a structured strategy that it can give to them to say, hey, this is how you should market this on social, because it's not like they're getting out of doing it. They may or may not want to, but if they have no directive on how to market it on social media, then like you said, right, they might pick up something that maybe isn't the most relevant thing or way that they should be marketing that title. So it can, it could definitely help maximize those strategies, and obviously lead to more product sales. So this is kind of the reason we bought it, or not bought it, the reason we built this is there's so much we can get out of cursory review. And we built a lot of this technology too out of the idea, back when we were creating, back in the NFT days, right? When we were making 1,000 different book covers and we were scanning and reading the entire book to figure out who the characters were and who all the environmental scenes are, and, create artwork from that. And so, this is basically like, another step beyond that of like, hey, since we're reading and processing and understanding all this stuff, like how could we actually crunch that data in a way and process it multiple times so that it outputs like a really rich thing that an author could find some benefit and some direction to, right? So it's just
a whole bunch of tools combined, right? Like, it's hiring a marketing agency and editors and art creators all in the same tool before you actually get it to those real people. We're not saying don't use those real people. This is just a precursor that's going to save you a lot of time and money if you're able to run your books and see where there's pacing gaps, where there's the DNF gaps of like, oh, I need to go address chapter 20, and you can get those things kind of taken care of before you get to the real people, and they can address more in-depth things that the human mind might be able to go into a little bit more about emotions or things like that. I thought too, what a big thing that you might want to address with, especially the TikTok audience of creators out there, is people worried about this getting uploaded into larger AI. So just kind of the security around it that you guys have built.
Yeah, so it isolates the content, because it is a big issue in the publishing world, right? Like authors and publishers don't want their work going into to train AI. So this keeps it in a closed system so that it's not used for any training data, and then we don't actually store the file, which is, I don't know, we've kind of gone back and forth internally, because if you wanted to come back, say you did like the low tier version of it, the $99 one, and you're like, hey, this is really good, and like I got some good stuff out of this, can you run the can I just like upgrade and run the other one? It's like you can't upgrade, because like we literally like destroy the the file as soon as we're done processing it. So then you'd have to go back through and reset it up all the way kind of from scratch. But you probably wouldn't, kind of the thesis there is like you probably would want to anyway, right? If you did the low tier one, saw some net benefit to it, got some good results from it, maybe made a couple updates or changes in your manuscript, you probably would want to like upload the new one and do like the more expensive report to get like better data set behind it. So all I'd say, like we sort of intentionally made it inconvenient for authors such that we're not storing their work, and we don't want to store it, right? Because it's unreleased IP. And so nothing that that we do like takes any ownership of that. It's purely just like a service for them to capture data from that, and we isolate it and destroy it afterwards, so they're fully protected, which I think is the appropriate way to handle it. So I think some derivative stuff we want to do is at some point, like as the platform grows and gets more usage, like we'll probably, one thing I'd like to do, right, is along with that marketing strategy, is actually identify individual, depending on where you are in the process, right, either identifying individual publishers, individual editors, maybe individual book reviewers, like ARC readers, that you would maybe want to connect directly with, and who would maybe have like good alignment with the book that you wrote, right? Which obviously it takes a while to create that database of all of that, and structure it in a way that makes sense, so we can sort of capture the best spot to send people. But in the instance, right, from a publisher standpoint or from a influencer standpoint, right, it's like, hey, great for them too, because then we're cutting out some of the noise for them, right? If we can bring them a potential title that has a high likelihood that they actually would be interested in it, right? It's like going to help sort of filter that noise out anyway. And we already, have the capability to send ARC files out through our promotional system, and we might integrate some of that here too. So once you get through the forecasting side, if you wanted to just go ahead and directly send out the copy to as an ARC to go out to potential readers, then we might, integrate that in a more seamless way, so you're not having to go through the standard kind of book IO process. And then, then you could get feedback, and we can kind of scrape and watch what's happening socially too, to see what those reviews that get posted and how they align with what, the predictive model thought would happen, which I think will be super interesting and very valuable.
Yeah, for sure. It's one more tool, right? It's like, that's kind of what Book.io and Stuff.io have been here for over 4 years, is using technology in a different and better way to help creators. So it's one more awesome tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any questions out there? Pop them in the comments, or send them to me on Discord. But yeah, do you have any follow-up thoughts, Josh?
No, I mean, we've got some other exciting products too that we're in the process of launching, like the one I sent over yesterday, and I've been working a lot on today. That's in the rights management world, which is really cool. And we've got a lot of things coming that are, some interesting things that we've had conversations about, wanted to build, had on, a list, just haven't been able to get to them, and obviously you're able to move a whole lot faster now. And with, this large, as we mentioned before, is, very large contract that we just closed, is kind of allowing us to go tackle a bunch of these really cool products that we've wanted to build and put out in the market. So I think that will just continue to grow and increase. And I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about this thing finally going live. It is live now, so if anybody wants to go use it, they can. Everything's totally ready to rock on it, and we're kind of in our early process of talking to all of our publishing partners about it, and all the independent authors we work with about it as well, and continue to get feedback. So if you do use it and you have some feedback, obviously be 100% excited to hear what your feedback is, and so we could continue to make the system better. And I think you're going to be doing some podcasts too with some authors that use it specifically.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who said that they are willing to be on video. I know the Web3 world doesn't like to always be on video. So yeah, thank you to our authors who test drove this and are willing to come on and tell us what they liked about it, because we're going to market it to publishers in a different way. We're kind of making little commercials about it and sending that out to publishers instead of having an hour-long meeting with every single publisher out there. We're going to kind of make a little fun commercial to get interest because this is a huge thing. I mean, Josh, you can kind of fill people in. We've been talking from the author side, but from the publishing side, if you run an actual publishing house, like this is some people's job every single day is to read 3 books a day and figure out if they're going to buy the manuscript, right? If they're going to, promote it themselves. So yeah, you want to kind of fill people in on maybe just even like the curiosity of what a publisher would use this for and how.
Oh, for sure. I mean, publishers, are inundated with manuscripts and everybody on the planet wanting to try to get published with them. So I think as sort of a filtering tool, right? This is a great way for them to push content through and see if it's a match for that publisher, right? Which I think, like I said, over time, like I think the system gets smarter and we can better identify, hey, this content would be a good fit for publisher X, right? And then, tools to connect that author with that publisher and already have this report ready for that publisher to see, so they can understand and know, like, oh, this is vetted on Galley Forecast. Like, we trust that this is actually something we should look at, right? Instead of it just being complete, chaos and trying to comb through everything, try to find something that fits, right? Not that your book isn't good or not that the publisher doesn't like you. It's just, publishers and imprints exist for specific reasons, and a lot of times they just don't take titles because it doesn't fit their content thesis, and that's it, right? So like if this can be that kind of first pass tool that helps them identify that in a real granular way to see, and anybody who's worked with the publisher too will knows that publishers definitely not shy about telling you to change your book, right?
Right.
If they're like, hey, chapter 17 doesn't work, we don't like it, you need to rewrite it. And that's something that you have to deal with when you're a writer and working with teams and publishers, and that's just how the industry operates. So I think though it's exactly right. Like there's a huge need for the publishers to have access to this tool as well. So yeah, I'm excited about it as a product and adding it in because I think it's going to really be extremely helpful and on both authors and publishers and all of our partners. So and what's funny is this thing happened pretty organic too. Like we kind of created a model, built like a sample report, sent it to an author, got incredible feedback, and we were like, oh wow, there's actually something here. Like this is pretty incredible. And because I think that feedback at the time too is along the lines of like, hey, if I had this report, like it may probably would have changed the trajectory of like this whole series that I worked on even, and the way they marketed it and the whole thing, and we were like, oh my gosh, like this could be really, really helpful for authors. And so we're we've been working on something similar on the music side as well. Don't have any announcements on that yet, but we've definitely been experimenting with how we could potentially provide some similar tools on the music side too. It's definitely more complicated because it's not just processing text, right? So,
right.
But we'll see how far we can kind of push things and what we can get out of it. So, I'm really excited about this as a product and adding it to the lineup of things we already offer. And I think we're going to see in the next several months here like a lot more integration with stuff like this, and like ability for authors to launch content, to launch things much more easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would just be a huge benefit if this type of report, so authors pitch their stuff to publishers every day, right? If it just came with your Galley Forecast on top of it, it's like, hey, I actually have done the tools and the processes to get this as perfect as I can for you. Here's the actual forecast on it of how your readers are going to respond. So it'd be kind of cool to start submitting manuscripts to publishers with this forecast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. And hopefully be, a validator, like that'd be awesome. So
yeah.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think we have any questions, right?
We don't. But yeah, everybody. It is end of day Friday. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. And
we'll you should play your video that you made. The thing's awesome.
Oh, sure. I can pull that up.
Let's play it out with a commercial and then bounce out of here.
All right. Downloads.
Sorry, I should have had you cue it up earlier. My bad.
That's all right. All right. But yeah, so before we cue ourselves out, go to galleyforecast.com if you've got a manuscript that you would like to get the forecast for. It is up and live and working right now. So tell your author friends, tell your publishing friends. But thank you for everyone who joined us. This is always available to rewatch on most of it, like LinkedIn and Twitter always replay them. But our YouTube channel always has everything that we ever record. So go to Own Your Stuff channel and you can have all the fun in the world to watch these. And we'll put up this video that I'm about to play as well. I'll put that up on YouTube. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
The Explainer. Today, we're diving into Galley Forecast by Book.io, a game-changing predictive tool for publishers. Sending blind ARCs is a huge financial risk. But what if you knew your exact rating beforehand? Enter Galley Forecast. It's a pre-publication intelligence platform that acts as your safety net before spending marketing dollars. It literally generates over 10,000 simulated readers in under 24 hours to analyze your unpublished manuscript. The process is incredibly simple. Upload your file, simulate the audience, get your forecast, and execute the playbook. The report visualizes predicted star ratings, letting you see your exact numbers super early. No more guessing. It even simulates ultra-realistic social media reactions to help you gauge cultural nuance and audience sentiment pre-launch. Plus, it identifies exactly which platforms like BookTok or Goodreads will actually engage with your specific title. For total transparency, the Publisher Pro tier tracks real post-launch reception to build a solid accuracy record. You can directly contrast their pre-launch prediction with real-world validation. Look how closely those results align. Seriously, they boast an insane average prediction accuracy rate of 97.3%. That is huge. Okay, let's address the big elephant in the room. How do they secure your sensitive intellectual property? They provide enterprise-grade guarantees. Your manuscript is never used for AI training and gets permanently destroyed afterward. With concept, full, and strategic pricing tiers, you get actionable intelligence scaled perfectly for your publishing needs. So, will your next book launch rely on blind hope or this kind of data-driven intelligence?